Hi everyone, today we're trying out the new Givenchy pressed powders. I'm so excited that these are now available in the States. I previously had a version that was available in France that I got, and that has talc in it, but these have been reformulated so they don't have talc, they have mica, and I am wearing both of them on my face. I'm wearing the new ones and I'm wearing the old formulation as well that has the talc in it on this side of the face. This is the new version on this side of the face, so you can sit down, see how I got this look, but also hear my thoughts at the end. With my Caliray primer, just my go-to primer for everything. It's super blurring. This is the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric in shade 14, and it's one of the most perfect shades for my skin tone. I really like this foundation because it is a matte foundation, but doesn't make your skin look too matte and dry. And I have a little plastic thing that I put on my finger. I'm sorry, that I put on the back of my hand. I wouldn't say it's thin, but it's not thick. And it has it's like medium coverage. But you can see how closely it matches my skin. So I think that's good. We have that on. And I'm going to use a corresponding Giorgio Armani concealer. This is in shade 10, the Power Fabric concealer. Actually been a minute since I used this. I've been loving my Dior Forever Skin. Good. Let's do this. Okay. And out there and smooth it out, brightening the forehead area a little bit. And then the under eye. And this is a pretty good coverage concealer. So I don't necessarily have to color correct when I use this. I go around, then I go up. Okay. Taking the extra around the eye there. And then now I am blending the light areas there. I'm gonna go in with my Matchstick by Fenty in the shade Espresso. And I do a little contouring along my jawline because my neck is darker than my face. And so to kind of help it blend and go up, I think that looks good on me, but not everyone tends to do that. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in with blush, and today I want to do something a little bit more subtle, so I'm gonna go with the Vanessa Myricks in Creme Brule. It's a new shade, and I've been having a lot of fun with this. So take a little bit here on this BK Beauty 109 brush, tap it in, and it is a brown, but I was looking for a blush that was like a really toasty warm color, almost like a bronzer. And I love it in Vanessa Myricks formula, so I'm glad that they came out with this color for the Blurring Balm Flushed Blush series. And this is, there's a little bit of color on my cheek. I actually find this color shows up best when I don't have any makeup on, and maybe the latte shade shows up a little bit more, but we're going to do this. The shade that I used to always use, and it's still probably my favorite, is Jubilee, because it's was their lighter sort of terracotta, and you can, I'll just put a little bit here and you can see how bright that is there. And that also gives a nice warm glow. But we're gonna cover this with some powder and then add some more powder blush to the look. So the moment that we have all been waiting for, we have the Givenchy pressed powders. And the new ones are in this shiny case. Right here I have shade 5 and shade 6. So shade 5 is what I use for my under eye. It's bright, it opens, it has a little brush, and then it opens sideways. So that is very innovative. And it has a smooth cover. Now I want to show you shade 5 in the old formula. It has more of a matte cover. It opens up. You still have a brush, but it opens up like this. So it was like, oh, I have this. I can take the brush out, put the makeup on, but it's covering the mirror. So how they have it with the new one, where the mirror opens to the side, is, I think, pretty good. So let's say on the my left side of my face, I'm going to use the new powder. I'm gonna go in with my powder puff, and because that's how I like to use it. And these are very brightening, even more so than the original loose powder, so you have to be careful with the amount that you're putting on. But putting it on there, I would put it on that area. And a little there. Okay, so you can see it definitely is matte, not shiny at all. I'm gonna go in a little bit more, press into these pores here. And that is really mattifying and brightening. Now I'm going to go in on my right side with the older formula using a different brush, or really a different puff. Sometimes I might dab it off a little on my hand. And go in. Up close to me, it looks the same. So that is good. Definitely not shiny. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with shade 6, which I use on the rest of my face. Isn't that beautiful? And then shade 6 of the older formula. And what is the difference between the two formulas? Well, you probably have guessed it already. This older formula has talc in it, and the newer formula has mica. And that is because a lot of companies are reformulating their products to contain less or no talc, because the FDA has said they're going to start testing a little bit more for asbestos and talc, which they haven't found any, but they just want to make sure, because talc is mined near deposits where asbestos is found. So in the trying to be safe, that is why companies have moved away from it, and also because it's going to be a little bit of a hassle with the regulations. Okay. I have a lot of texture in my skin. That's it. So almost no matter what I do, you're gonna see a little bit of something. They are both very mattifying. I feel like this side is a little bit brighter. Maybe I took shade 5 down a little bit more, so maybe I can take the old shade 5 down a little bit more. I just wanna make sure it's not how I applied it, but more so the actual powder. Like I said, this is very mattifying. Okay. But this side seems brighter, actually, now that I look at it. Yeah, this side is definitely brighter. But in a good way. Like, it's not... It's not bad. Can I walk around like this? Okay, well, we're gonna do this anyway. Now I'm gonna go in with my bronzer, and from now on it's just the same products that I typically use, so nothing new or groundbreaking, but still keeping it fun. So let's use our Huda Beauty shade 5. I wish they had this in a travel size. This is the only bronzer I have used for the past 2+ years since I discovered makeup and started wearing it and dabbling, playing, using. It's only been this bronzer. I went to Sephora one day, spent a couple of hours swatching a lot of different bronzers, and I was like, this is the one. So if they get rid of this, I don't know what I would do. I mean, you can find something. I actually think there are a couple that might work. Well, what am I going to use as blush today? I'm actually going to use the NARS Laguna 7 face bronzer as my blush. I was looking for a shade that resembled Toasted Teddy by Rhode Beauty and could be a bronzer, and this is that shade for me. I can take it up a little bit if I want. My eye look is going to be very simple. I am going to first use a little bit of my brow pencil, Patrick Ta in the shade dark brown. I've not done my brows in over a month, but it's okay. They have a general shape. I don't mind it looking so pretty, you know, almost natural. And half the time I don't even put brow gel in because my brows do stay in place. But this time, why not? We'll use a little bit of the e.l.f. Brow Wow. When my brows are done, I actually tend to just put the brow gel in. Guys, I'm gonna go in with a Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette, and I'm gonna go in with this nice round brown shade that's terracotta, almost like my, almost like the blush. But we're gonna go in the crease with that shade. It's my favorite crease shade. Then going to use a slightly lighter shade on the lid. I'm going to go back to that crease shade and blend it in some more. And then using this same blush, brush, I'm going to go in, this is the Nicking the Rose number N12. Gonna go in with the dark brown and do a little bit of contouring under my lids. Along the line and in the pocket here. I might go back to this brown and go underneath. And the bronzer I use also works very well here. And if I'm going super fast, I'll just use that. Okay. So I have that there. I'm going to go in with a black eyeliner. I don't think I'm gonna do shimmer on my eyes here, but I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham satin, the satin Kajal liner in black. A little bit of a baby wing. And a little bit under here. And then her pencils come with a smudger on the other end, which I use. A lot of people may not, but I'm going to smoke it out. And I got a little bit of liner a little bit further than I wanted, so I'm going to clean it up with a little bit of a brush. And I leave a little bit of the inner corner open because if I were to bring it so far in there, it would close my eyes up a little bit, and sometimes I want that, but I don't want this to be as vampy or a smoky look. Highlighter in the inner corner. We can do a little bit of a highlighter there since this is a really simple look. Push it out there. Highlighter on the nose. And a little bit on the cheek. For lipstick, I'm going to go in, first I'm going to use the Sephora, oh my goodness, Rouge Gel Lip Liner that they have decided to discontinue. Like, why? It's so good. I bring in the sides to make it look a little more pouty. And I'm going to use a little bit of an orange gloss stain. Okay, so we are almost there. I've been using this Huda Beauty, I've been using the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Spray now. I've used it twice and I really like it. It is pretty mattifying, like they say, it gives a really blurring effect. We'll let that dry for a second. And I like using a wet setting spray, maybe going on over with a little bit of powder if I feel like I need that. And then going in with my one size setting spray, which really seals everything in. But for the past 2 days, I've just used the Huda Beauty setting spray. And I have found that to be pretty good in holding the makeup in place and not transferring too much. You're always gonna have a little bit of transfer, especially depending on the type of product that you have. So we still have a little bit of droplets on there, and you really got to shake your product because it has some rice powder in there, so you don't want it to be too splotchy. It is almost done, but this looks very blurred to me. So I don't feel like I need to go on with more powder. What do you think? I think it's actually pretty good. Maybe we can go in. So I have to use my shade 5 of each. And I will go in with the tiniest bit. I feel like I need it. And now we're going to seal everything in with the one size setting spray. We are almost there. Gonna go in with mascara. I've been trying out the Haus Labs mascara. I apply mascara after my setting spray because I find that if I do it before, it has a greater chance of flaking on me. I feel like it's pretty decent. And that, my friends, is the finished look with a new Givenchy pressed powder on the left side of my face here, shade 5, shade 6 around the perimeter, and on the right side of my face, I have the older Givenchy pressed powder that has talc in it, that is shade 5, and then shade 6 around the perimeter. So tell me how it looks. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can really see because I'm blind as a bat without it, and then I can really tell you what I think. That is the old side. This is the new side. To me, the new side still looks like it has a little bit more luminosity, and I think that's because it contains mica. And I'm not mad at it. It does seem brighter, especially say shade 6, which I really did put down on my perimeter. Almost seems like shade 5 down here. Yeah, the new one is definitely brighter. We'll see how it wears. I think hopefully it holds up really well. Hopefully you can't see too much of a difference on my face, but if you can, then hey, that's what it is. I'm just going to a dark theater to hear somebody talk, so not too many people are going to see me anyway, just you all. Thank you for joining me today for this look. I love it. It's a nice, simple look that I think goes well with almost anything that you have on. And it really was for the purpose of trying out these powders. So you have the new powder, very nice. And I love that Givenchy has a pressed powder because I really do value that when I'm traveling or on the go. Loose powders can be a little bit messy. So I'm going to keep playing with this new formulation. I do find that this new formulation is a little bit brighter than the old formulation of the pressed powder, and probably even a little bit brighter than the old formulation of the loose powder, if you still have that. I still do in shade 6 and use it a lot, but I am holding my breath until that finally goes out. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.